first session, we're just going to go through initially the beginning parts of Activity Insight, specifically working on how to add data. And we're going to focus on the very first section of it, which is the personal information. And we'll go through teaching, research, and scholarship. But we actually have sessions scheduled coming up that are going to focus more intently on adding intellectual contributions. So we're going to just do an overall today of the general information. So to access Activity Insight, you will go to the homepage for the College of Business, which is business.nova.edu. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see a link under Quick Links called Faculty and Staff Resources. As part of our resources, you will see a tab for technology. Click that, and along with the Huizenga portal, Canvas, you will see we have a page dedicated to Activity Insight. Pedro, do you need some help?
Well, I'm still opening we send the portal.
Oh, you're going through the portal. All right, we'll let you go that way. So once you're on, this is the home page for the Activity Insight system. This page is open all the time. You can access it anytime. So if you want to bookmark, once you click to enter Activity Insight, you can bookmark that and save your password there. That's fine. Keep in mind, the password to enter Activity Insight does not authenticate off NSU servers. It's a separate system. So whatever you set your password for Activity Insight remains the same. It doesn't change your NSU password. You're just creating a separate one. If you want to make it the same as your NSU password, I would advise that, but you don't have to.
Regine, where was it under Quick Links? Where was it, the Activity Insight?
Faculty and Staff Resources,
Technology.
and then Technology. So on this page, we have directions. If you've never accessed it before, which I believe every single person in here has at one point, but if you've never accessed it before, these are the instructions for how the first time. And we also have a click to enter, so you can either click to enter or you can click the icon to take you directly to it. If you forget your password, all you need to do is click help, and in the help box it says reset password. You'll put in your username. Dr. Jones?
So now, Activity Insight is, if you click on technology, it should go there.
After technology, scroll down, it says Activity Insight. It's like the fourth link.
Just give it 1 second. Go up again.
I log in using my old password. Can I change it?
Sure.
There should be an arrow.
Are you in right now?
Yes.
Okay, yep, you can change it at any time.
I already forgot my old password.
Okay, so just hit the forget password link. I'll show you where that is. If you're on the Activity Insight page,
Yes.
and you hit need help,
Oh, help. Okay.
then you see where it says reset your password.
Yes.
It's going to take you, you're going to put in your NSU username,
Got it.
and it's going to send it to your Outlook account with a link to reset. You can change it from here, David, or you can do it inside, whichever one's easier. Did you find it, Dr. Jones?
If for some reason the technology link is not scrolling down for him to where he can click on
Use
Activity
the Chrome
Insight.
browser instead.
Yeah.
Instead of the Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, what are you using, Internet Explorer?
Got it.
Yeah, hates it.
Perfect.
Let's just make sure that everybody's on the right page.
Regine, try to log in.
Do you have your password?
Which the file?
Nope, just push to it.
When you're done, the trouble we had is the translation from the
Whatever
original
password you
system.
set for Activity Insight.
So from here we go where?
You're in.
Lost all the
You're,
stuff.
we haven't got there yet, you're good.
Okay, so I started back when I did it last month.
So you don't remember it? Okay, so you can just reset it right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not it.
Yeah, I just changed
So
my
I
password.
need help.
Okay.
Yeah, reset your password. And then put it in.
Sir, how are you?
We learned this the hard way.
Using Chrome.
Doing it by brute force.
Okay, so what's our starting point? digitalmeasures.com. For those who were teaching at home.
You're gonna go to faculty and resources, Linda?
So I'm gonna log into the notes.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Uh-huh.
Did it, so you're gonna need to log into your,
You
and in there, you're gonna do a link. You don't see the message changes back. Yes.
Are you on Chrome?
Yeah. It's going to be flying the longest.
So raise your hand if you're in the system right now, so we can see where we're at. Okay, Robbie, are you in?
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Greg, you're in? Dr. Jones, you need help?
No, I'm good, I'm here now.
You're in the system?
Right, so now the password you were talking about, it doesn't work, right?
It's whatever one you set up when you first logged in. If you don't remember it, because remember, this is not the same, if you could set it as the same as your Huizenga or NSU password.
Time to go.
I said it, when I logged in, I used my regular,
Okay, so use that one.
okay.
All right, so we're gonna log in.
Reggie, just one more minute, just so we can get everybody on the same page. Literally, go all the way down.
So what's happening?
I mean, do you need some help?
No, we're good, we're just trying to, she just got onto technology and we're trying to take staff.
Okay.
Or not. I'll take it.
It'll help me pay off my student loans.
For those of you who are in, this is what your screen should look like. Does everyone see this that are in? General information, teaching, so on. Yes, yes. Okay, good.
Reggie, can I see your name for 1 second?
Oh, good boy. We're waiting for her. Getting-
Okay, you're on nova.edu, you need to be on the college
I'm having
business.
fun with 1 year
So
class.
business.nova.edu.
You are? Why?
Public admin with finance.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Joe, from Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
Alabama.
Yeah, they have a little trouble with that.
Airbus was having to build a bigger
It's
plane.
like father of-
They stopped that.
He's on an online, he's like in a school where
Yes,
you
yes.
do the work and you go do it. I that's Hawaii.
You want to just bookmark this page?
Mm-hmm. So I gotta,
Yeah, no.
Click
I'm
on
gonna go back to work.
Yeah, that's what they were using.
That's
350.
You can also just bookmark the page and save it in your browser.
With our whole email on
Give
our
it to you,
desktop, just your
you get it
username,
on, you don't
and we
post them.
created a separate.
The rules.
Yes.
They don't know
Yeah.
that they know that you have.
With the advantage of the
Well,
second week in a row.
Very good.
And from in my class, that this is graduate school. When I assign you articles to read, I expect you to read them.
All right, so
Why do you think I chose them?
you'll notice, so this is basically what we call your home screen.
All right.
And it breaks down into 4 specific areas. You have general information, teaching, service, and research. We're going to focus today primarily on the general information because we do have sessions of this specific for service. We have specific for creating a CV and one specifically for intellectual contributions, which is your research. So under general information, you have access to everything in here. You can add as much or as little as you want, but the more you add, the more you can actually produce when you run reports on yourself, or if you want to use this to create an entire CV for you. So personal and contact information, if you want to click on that, you can just use this to verify whether or not your information is correct. Now I'm using, because I have an admin access, I don't have the access you have, so I'm going to use Dr. Abrahams for this. So this should populate for you in advance, your room number, your office phone, and you can add any other information here that you want. If you wanted a prefix and you wanted to have doctor, or professor, or Mrs. or Mr. If you have a personal website, if you want to include your date of birth, your gender. Now, I ask, if you don't mind, if you were to fill out your gender and your race, the only reason I'm asking this is because we have to complete reports for AACSB. There's no information, it's just strictly demographics of our full-time faculty, how many are male, how many female, what's the ethnic breakdown of it. If you're comfortable putting that in there, it would really help me other than I have to calculate or just end up saying unknown.
I like the addition of 2 or more.
Right?
It really ought to be more common now.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand.
And in some
You know,
cases,
yeah,
4 or
not
more.
pigeonhole yourself if you don't belong to pigeonhole.
If you want to include whether you're a U.S. citizen, that would help on many of my reports too. And here is the brief biography. This is the biography that populates to the Huizenga website, your faculty profile on the website. So if you want to change your biography,
That's good to know.
you can change it here. I pulled all the biographies from our old CV system and imported them all in here on your behalf, so now you can just edit, you don't have to add. Yes, Robbie? No, okay,
So if there's nothing there, that means we don't have a bio on the webpage either.
correct.
Gotcha.
Teaching interests, research interests, and photographs. You are free to add anything there you want as long as it's applicable, you know. The photograph is not going to replace the one on the website, so I wouldn't put one in there that you think is going to replace it. But you can add one in there because when you get to produce a CV, that would be the photo that would put on the CV. So any questions about personal and contact? All right. At any time you add something in here, you see the buttons for cancel and save. So if you have made a change here, you would just hit save, and it would save it for you and pop you back to your home screen. So let's talk a bit about the difference between permanent data and yearly. Permanent data is going to be there forever. And I'm working right now on getting a history of it, of promotions. We've never really captured that. So like if you came in as an assistant professor in 1989, at what point you attained your associate professor, that could go in there. At what point you attained full professor, that can go in there. Right now we haven't currently populated that. I'm working with HR to get a full list of that, and I will try to add that on all of your behalfs. But if you have that information, feel free to add it. So some of this doesn't really matter to us because this is currently a doctoral student separation date. We're not currently using this as our HR database, but eventually we hope to, because the university just purchased a campus-wide license for Activity Insight. Right now we're only one of 4 colleges at the university who are using this system. But starting next fall, every college is going to be using this system. So we actually have a bit of a leg up on everyone else right now. So personal data isn't really, or permanent data isn't really going to change unless you receive a promotion or unless you leave the university. Yearly data, however, that keeps a log of every academic year since we've implemented this in 2014-15. Every year this rolls over, your data rolls over. This is the data that is very important to us with our accreditation reports. So if you want to click on yours, I would ask, you can go in here and verify this, but I would just ask you don't change too much, specifically College of Business Department. All full-time faculty by default are 100% dedicated to mission. If, however, your rank is not correct, feel free to change that. Yes, Pedro?
Yes, I am in the previous page. So how do I go to edit yearly data?
You want to edit yearly data?
No, I want to go to the same page.
Okay.
I'll just go back a page.
See over here? This arrow?
Okay.
Back. That. Now you're back to your home screen.
Yes.
You want to go to yearly data?
Okay.
Okay. And anytime you want to go back, this back button will take you back. It serves just as like the back button works up here.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. I maintain most of this information on your behalf. As I said, this is what basically drives the foundations of our 15-1 report. You'll see under normal professional responsibility, this just means if, in this case, Rebecca is responsible for master's, undergraduate, other, and research. She is in scholarly academic. This is the description that goes on our reports of why you are SA or PA, SPIP or other. All full-time faculty are participating. And then this is just your teaching classification, and do you have another joint appointment. So this isn't really a screen you have to worry about. I maintain it on behalf of you, but you are able to log in there, and if you see something that doesn't look great to you, other than your the rank, give me a shot before you edit it, and we can talk about it. So any questions on what yearly data is? And again, this rolls over every term, so around September, around August, if you log in here, then you will see another 2019, 2020, and this information just rolls into it, and then we edit it based on anything that has changed. So let's all go back now to the home screen, general information. Any questions thus far? No? All right. So throughout here, we have all of these now are basically information that I have added for you that I know about. And now you are welcome to fill it out yourself. So let's take a look at, this is really a weird way of saying previous employment. So academic, non-NSU administrative, government, military, professional positions. This basically, if we could, I would just retitle this to employment. So if you have any previous positions, previous employments, anything that you wanted to add in there, Rebecca doesn't. But if you did, you would just come into this area, add new item, and from here you can put in your experience. So if it was a previous job you held in industry, you would hit professional, say the name of the company, the title, was it your own, a description, and how long you worked there. This is just basically helping your profile and your CV if you wanted to add this to it. We won't really use this information for reporting. Yeah, Robbie?
What's the difference between professional and administrative in the very first experience time?
I would say in your case it would be professional. I think administrative in this case would be that you were just overseeing a particular function. But if your job was in...
No, I was department head at Auburn, so which one? That's my previous job. So should it be
So then in that
administrative
case you would
or
go into administrative as a department head. And then put down into this, the description that you were a department head. That's where you would explain what the title was. This is really, if any of you, any chairs, Albert, this is really where our adjuncts, we really need our adjuncts to fill this area out because many of them are working right now. And that working experience is what gives them their IP classification. So if we don't have that work experience in here, we have a hard time defending that they are instructional practitioners. So if any of you have friends that are adjuncts, please encourage them to fill out the employment area. All right, any questions? So the next area, NSU administrative assignments. So if you wanted to come in here and add, for instance, if you are a chair, if you are an associate dean, an assistant dean, if you have a specific administrative title, if you have a course release, you can add this in here. So Fred, you could add director of, everything real estate. You could add this in here. This just helps fill out your profile. Awards and honors, that's pretty self-explanatory. Any awards you've received, any honors you've received, you can add them in here. Consulting, the same if you have any current or previous consulting jobs, you can add them in here. All that does is fill you out. And education, I have added the education as we've had it. And in most cases, I was able to add a copy of your transcripts. But if you have any education that's missing in here, please feel free to add it. So go in right now and look at your educations and see if there's any questions. If I'm missing anything.
Do you want your bachelor's degrees or just
Sure, if you
worry
want.
about the PhD? Okay.
More the merrier. I went through all of Michelle's going back like 15, 20 years, all of Michelle's HR files of paper, transcripts that she got at the time of everyone's hire, scanned each one and uploaded it in here, just so with the anticipation of a visiting team coming from AACSB, if they want to see, let me see the terminal degree of this individual, we can show them the degree and the transcript, all in one place. We don't have to keep paper files for it.
So where would you be able to access the transcript if it's already uploaded?
So if you click,
Okay.
I think, click on one of yours.
PDF.
Oh, are you in?
Yeah.
Because I remember uploading yours. Because I think I added like
Oh,
four.
I see a PDF file?
Yep, that's it right
Okay,
there.
okay, so,
So click that.
okay. That's good to be able to.
These are lab computers, so they probably don't have Adobe Acrobat installed,
okay.
but try to open it with Acrobat.
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
Good job, it worked.
It works, right? So any questions on education?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to open it and make sure. The transcript that was scanned for me and put in has my social security number, birthday, address,
Fine.
things like that on it. That shouldn't be available to anybody else.
It's not, it's only available to you.
So, but if you said a visiting team can come in and check your,
They're not getting access to this.
oh, okay.
No, no, no,
Then
no.
why are we posting it?
Because instead of keeping
'Cause
paper.
I don't need it.
We need it. The
Oh.
college needs to retain a copy of your transcript at all times, instead of keeping them in a massive filing cabinets.
Right, I understand it, but that, my question is, why are they having access to something that has my social security number and birthday on it? Which
They-
I can't even get that when I'm looking at student applications.
Understood. We will not give them access to this. If they wanted to see it, I would be able to go into the system, I would pull it up, I would redact that information, I would print it out, and I would show it to them, but they would not see that information.
Okay.
That's a critical question, because before Michelle had it at least locked down in a drawer, so we had confidence that only she will get access to it. When it goes on the web, that's a whole different animal, and I think that's kind of linking what John is talking
Well,
about.
it's not necessarily on the web.
Well, it's on a system
It's-
that's
But it's
On
secure.
somebody's system.
somebody's system.
It's
It's
secure.
okay, it's just that we want to make sure it's secure.
It is secure.
It's an important question
Yes.
for you to address.
Mhm,
Critical
absolutely.
question.
And if you really aren't comfortable with it, John, I can remove it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a problem.
It should be a
about that.
system issue.
Just send me an email if you want me to delete those off your profile, and I certainly
Okay.
will. The additional ones in here would be external connections and partnerships. That is any additional partnerships you have outside of the university or outside of the college that you want to add in there. Faculty development activities. This would be anything that you did developmental-wise, so you can put in a conference attendance. But again, this is also going to go under conference presentations. So these are just conferences that you attended but didn't present at or didn't have a paper at. Or if you had any internships or fellowships, seminars, tutorials, any of these you could add in here. Licensure and certification, these are really important, Linda, for the accounting people. Your CPAs, these should all go in here. Any other additional certifications, if you have the SHRM certification, situational leadership, that can go in here. Yes, Robbie?
I want to know the distinction between faculty development activities attended, in which you gave conferences as an example, but under scholarship research, there's presentation staff. So what's the distinction?
There
between-
really isn't one.
So I need to replicate in both.
You don't have to, if you put it, if you want to keep it under scholarship, keep it under scholarship, that's
And I
fine.
don't have to.
You don't have to put it in there, nope.
I think you just meant if we go to something, but we weren't a participant. so
Exactly.
it doesn't show up as intellectual contribution, we
Yes.
can put it
If
here.
you're just attending something, that's really not an intellectual contribution, that's just you're attending at something. If you're attending it and presenting a paper, if you're attending it and sitting on a panel, those are under intellectual contributions. This would just be you went to a conference. Media contributions. This is all you, Albert. You could probably fill this one up. Any-
Yeah, I have so
Any
many.
media,
Start.
yes, any media contributions that you've had, if you, podcasts, if you've been interviewed on TV, if you've been interviewed on radio, you can put all of them in here, fill that out. Professional memberships, this is again, if you're a member of any professional group, this is again, SHRM, what else is there?
Lots of them, yeah.
Many, many, many of them.
Mhm.
Fill this
Every,
out,
every field has its set.
has many, huh?
Mhm.
Right now, we are not currently working with the workload information. I would anticipate as the university rolls this entire system out university-wide, I believe the provost's office is probably going to want us as a university to begin looking at workload. But right now, we're not doing anything with it, and we would wait for instruction for them to figure out how as a university, they want to track faculty workloads. So you don't have to worry about this one for now. And the portfolio reflective statement. This is just, you can use this if you want to actually create your CV or portfolio through here. This would just be your recommended statement regarding your teaching philosophy. This isn't what Powell isn't going to go on the web. This is just internal to you. And if you have letters of recommendations, whatever, you can add them up here as well. So if you wanted to copy something into here, there's pasteboard. I don't know if you've seen this up in the corner, but what this basically does is it's their version of a clipboard. If you click pasteboard, it will pop up right here for you. You can drag and drop information in here that will replicate on screens going forward. So if you have a particular statement that you want to keep, you can copy it here and drag it and put it in any other area. It's just a neat little functionality like a clipboard. Okay, so we're at the halfway mark. We're almost done. Any questions thus far on the general education area? General information, anyone? No? All right. So then the primary function of this is now these three areas: teaching, scholarship, and service. We're going to look just a little bit at teaching because we have, like we said, we have other sessions dedicated. So every term, I import information from our banner system, and I manually upload it here into Activity Insight. And this lives under the courses taught. Courses taught is both a very dangerous and a very exciting screen. It's dangerous because there's information in here that if you change, it's going to ruin my reports. But it's exciting because there's information in here that we don't currently have that you would probably want to add to a CV. So if we take a look here at Rebecca's 2019-30, and I know she uses banner terms, nobody likes those banner terms, but so this is for winter. I bring in your CRN, then I actually bring in the term in the winter, and the year, I bring in the course name. All of this, you don't have to worry about any of this. And then I have this customization here that I tie a particular course to a program. That allows me to run my reports based on programs, if we ever get asked to do that. But if you scroll down after delivery mode and location, all of this information is available to you if you wanted to add information. Was this a new course prep for you? That would be great to know if you ever wanted to run a report from here to see how many preps you had in a designated period. Was there a new format? Was this the first time this course was being taught in this particular format? Was it taught by more than one instructor? Did you actually teach it? This information doesn't drive any of our reports. This information is just going to drive any reports that you want to create for yourself.
Regina, what does that mean? Did you teach in this course?
Universities that have the former lead professor model that we would have, if you were just overseeing it, or if this came in as you were a graduate assistant and you were tied to this course, you would fill in there, no, I didn't teach it, I was just the graduate assistant.
Okay, so if we are the only faculty, then we just...
You don't have to worry about that one.
So we can apply that to the times when we had the lead professor model?
No, we are not. No, because this only goes back to 14. We don't talk about that model. I shouldn't have brought it up.
Censorship.
So then if you wanted to come down here, add any innovations, any new teaching materials, or any activities in your class, this is where if you had guest speakers, if you took them, on field trips or specific projects, you can add all of this information here. And all this does is if you want to create a report for yourself, or if we ever wanted to create a report talking about innovation or any of those buzzwords, we can pull that information from here. You also have the ability to upload any documents. So if there's specific documents for a course that you want to keep and you don't want to store them anywhere other than here, you can add, if you had a particular rubric or a syllabus that you wanted to keep in here, you could add it here and it's going to store it along with this course. So anytime you went to your courses taught, you would have a file of electronic copies there. Anything you wanted to keep.
Just a suggestion. This is not for immediate implementation, but AACSB documentation emphasizes reporting at an aggregate level in 3 categories: engagement, innovation, and impact. EII. And at course level, if each faculty member captures that, then we can easily aggregate that into a college level.
Absolutely.
And it has always been a struggle because faculty don't put it at the faculty level,
Right,
and therefore aggregation becomes aggregating a null set.
right.
So
You
maybe the suggestion I'm giving is.
A widget.
No, right here is you have these 3 categories. And
Absolutely. I'm going to show you something, Robbie.
three EII.
Yep, I'm going to show you something. We're actually doing that right now, but
Fire
not
down,
at the courses taught screen. If you go into scholarship and your intellectual contributions,
It's a different place.
this all the way down, you see this impact?
No, this is research, I'm talking
No,
about.
I understand, I'm showing you though that we're already doing it. We're, now with your suggestion, I can add this particular widget to the courses taught screen.
Right, that's
That would
right.
allow you then to say, okay, in this particular course, what was the impact? And which one of these categories did it tie to? You can describe it, and then I can actually run a report from these screens right now that say, what is our impact?
I
That
see
would
the
then
same
pull it in here.
research, but I don't see it.
That's a good idea to put it in the courses taught. I don't think that would be difficult at all. Then when we run our reports on impact, engagement, and innovation, it would pull information into the courses.
So we are supposed to complete that part that asks us for new course preparation, new formats, et cetera, et cetera.
If you want to, you're welcome to, yes. You're not required to at this time to complete it.
Well, I will complete the ones that I'm teaching now.
Sure, please do.
What's required?
Yes.
Voluntary.
So again, scroll through this. If you see any information that looks funky, if you see anything that looks wrong, just shoot me an email before you change anything in the courses taught. Academic advising, we currently don't have the model where faculty are advisors, but in other universities they do, and this is where you would be tied to what particular group of students you're advising. If you're, when we had the doctor program and when we had advisors for dissertations, we would put this under directed student learning. If you have other instructions, if you were a guest lecturer in somebody's class, if you just oversaw a particular lab, you can add that other instructions.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Do internships go under academic advising? Internships? No?
That's a good question,
That's a good one, yeah.
because your internships are pulling into your courses taught. Because you're tied to them as an actual CRM. So if you go to your courses taught, you're gonna see management internship and management internship extension. So they're actually under your courses taught. That information is not populating to our 15.1 unless it has a student credit hour attached to it. So like the extensions, I believe those are 1 or 0 extensions,
0 credit.
0 credit. But the internships are 2 or 1 free credits, right?
Mm.
So those would actually count towards your overall SCH in 15.1, but the extensions wouldn't if they're 0 credit. So you don't have to add your internships. Yeah.
The other activity is the Korn Ferry leadership coaching, will that be counted?
Yeah, it wouldn't be counted in our tables, but you should absolutely put it in here. Yep, I would put that on other instruction. But yes, you definitely pull that in. And then there's also non-NSU teaching. If you're teaching for another university or another college, you could add that information here if you wanted us to know about it. We're not going to get into scholarship and research too much today because we're going to save that for a specific section. Same with service. So are there any questions thus far on this? Do you love it? Do you hate it? You like it?
When do you next need to have this information up to date?
Right now, what is in there is enough for me to run our reports. what we need you to do now is grab it and say, I'm gonna add additional information to fill this out for myself and for the college. So there's not really a set date. But in anticipation of the university adopting this college-wide, I would imagine that by the time they put on the full implementation in the fall, they're gonna want everything ready by November, December.
Yeah, the sooner the better, because we would like to, we're gonna report to them that we have fully adopted this, and our information is up and it's up to date, and whatever type of reports that you all need, we're able to just run them and provide them to you.
So my encouragement to you in that case would be to work with chairs and deans and give us a deadline. Otherwise, will get pushed off with other things that have to be done, where if people consider this optional. But that would just be my suggestion.
Good.
I agree, yes.
And give us a list of what is required
Versus
and what is
voluntary.
recommended.
Sure,
That's a key
we'll do
piece.
what is
I know
required.
some
what is
people will just
recommended.
do required, but
Right,
it's,
at least
it'd be
it's,
nice to see what.
yes. And along with that, not only what is required, what is recommended, but what should you not touch, right? Yeah,
But give us enough lead time. I mean, you know, one of the complaints has been
Absolutely.
being asked to do something with 2 weeks' notice.
absolutely.
Give us good lead time and people can.
I think if we said July,
Yeah.
that would be fair, right?
So the intellectual contributions does not differentiate, journal articles and proceedings, right? And basically, if I attend the conference and I present as well as including my paper and proceedings, I will need to input twice, once here and the other in the presentation.
Nope, if you were just attending and not doing anything but attending, you could put it in the other one, but here, you see it says presentations.
Yes. I mean, oftentimes we will attend a conference, you know, you present as well as including that into the conference proceedings. So it is.
And that would be, you would put that in intellectual contributions.
So we omit the presentation and just including the proceedings?
No, you're including it here under your intellectual contributions. So if you came here under intellectual contributions, you wanted to add a new one, here's where you could put your type. If it was conference proceeding,
Yes.
then you could put it here, then you could fill the rest of it out.
But then it becomes unnecessary to also put it in presentations.
Correct,
The
yes.
assumption is if it's in proceedings that it was a presentation.
That's the assumption. If it wasn't, yes, then you
Is that getting at your question?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yep, thank you for clarifying that.
But you're doing whole sets of sessions on the
Yep.
scholarship portion of this, right?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, there's no questions, we're good to go.
We're good.
Thanks for coming.
When is the next meeting?
2 weeks from today.
Everything.